And Loring has done a lot of good work fighting this.
Let me ask you a question, Ed. Loring, is these cameras that you guys speak about, are these cameras put up directly to watch over any type of soliciting and panhandling in this?
No, they're there to look over any kind of activity that might be suspicious. So they are a blanket kind of constant 24-hour surveillance like they have in London and England.
Right.
You know, and so they actually have people that they hire. Amateurs, it's not the police department, it's just people that they hire at the police department to just watch. And of course, the real concern is not just civil liberties, but, you know, like they might be watching some pretty woman walking down the street or something, and, you know, that might get into really nasty kind of issues. The reason we didn't do a court case on that is because in the era of YouTube, and people taking, you know, pictures of the police or whatever too, it's not really clear there is a privacy anymore.
No, it's not. I mean, but they passed that Big Brother law many years ago. So I mean,
the Patriot Act.
So they've been surveillancing. They do their surveillance over here in New York. I think it's beneficial to have these surveillance cameras up all over the place. They've been catching a lot of crime. They've been fighting a lot. They use them to fight crime.
Let me get right in there. Recently, there was a pusher on the subway. A woman pushed a man in front of a train for no freaking reason. And then the cameras caught her running down the block. And that was the only way this person was able to be apprehended for such a horrific crime. Her only reason for pushing this man over there was because he was a Muslim. He was Middle Eastern. Exactly. You know what? Not even Muslim. He was Middle Eastern. So that's all she knew.
On the other side of that too, brothers. On the other side of that too, there was something on YouTube I found that it actually happened in my home city in Baltimore. Remember about the guy who got beat up and stripped butt-ass naked? What had happened there was it was right there under Baltimore City's surveillance system, right there in front of the Baltimore City Courthouse in downtown Baltimore. And to my knowledge, those men who committed that crime still have not been apprehended. So I am not really convinced that those surveillance cameras are a good measure for our protection.
Well, I don't, Ed, not to into that. That's probably very true. But, you know, on the contrary to that, have you ever thought of it being the businesses? Is this in the city in a certain part of Colorado? In particular, that we talking about where the surveillance cameras are, as far as
downtown Colorado Springs, and there was a discussion at City Hall. I've sent you that video way back when we had it. And
I watched the video.
My interpretation of the real reason they wanted those surveillance cameras there was not to protect anybody from criminal activity. That's a bunch of BS. What it really was meant to do was intimidate protesters and, of course, to try to run the homeless out of the downtown area because it simply doesn't look good. We're talking about this rich developer named Chuck Murphy, who he focused on the homeless, panhandling. Luke Travens basically wanted taxpayer-based security surveillance in front of his businesses. He didn't want to pay for his own surveillance cameras. No, he wanted the city to pay for it. So what this is telling me is it's not really for our protection. That was a talking point they were trying to use to get us to say, oh, okay, well, this is for our protection. But then there's people like me and others that were looking through it and saying, no, this is a bunch of BS. This is what
we know that
really for.
We know that the cameras are definitely placed there for other activities other than what they initially say they were put there for. But have we looked at the aspect of the property part of this situation? We know that anybody panhandling is not a threat to anybody. I watched the video you sent me where the guy was speaking about he'd been in that same spot for so many years. And, you know, everybody, in every community, there's somebody that just, and the guy didn't look homeless neither. Like, he looked like that was just his hustle. Yeah, Yeah, he just, you know what I mean? And I think he even mentioned that, you know, he just get his little booze or whatever, you know what I'm saying, from doing his little panhandling. But the thing is these laws and stuff like that that's being actually established is coming from the business owners and the people who actually own the property on these streets.
Oh, yeah. That's a big thing here, actually, is that there were many business owners that were approaching the mayor, particularly on the west side of our town, where they haven't even dealt with this yet. But it was a business owner thing that was driving a lot of it, and yet there hasn't really been any study to show that was the real big area of the problem. So, but you're right. There's a really big pressure from the business owners down there.
Right. Because you know what, a business owner might have in his mind that a panhandler takes away from his business. So it's almost a situation where it's the business owner against the panhandlers. You understand? So,
and there are already laws in place. There is already an ordinance in place that if I own a business, let's say, and there is a panhandler in front of my business and I want him to leave, the first thing I would do is say, sir, you're going to have to move on down the road. You're chasing my customers away. I don't appreciate this. If he does not leave, I can call the police and tell the police I want him gone, serve a notice in writing. I could even handwrite it, make a copy, have the hand it to him right there in front of the police officer, and it's, okay, now, my friend, if you are seen here again after we've served this notice to you, no trespassing notice, you will go to jail. That's already in place.
Right, because so what? That's a warning. You know, you've been forewarned. You know that the business owner, the owner, as much as they could do is move you down the block.